Oh, what a goal! Nick Williams, he's done it! He's done it! The Michigan goal in the first period for Nick Williams. Run, Pelkey scores! Pelkey! It's it!
And welcome back to the podcast. As always, it is Derik Clark, and we're in another episode here. I believe this is episode 13? Question mark? You'll know by the title. I actually have lost count. It's currently 10:30 in the morning. The Italian Grand Prix has just finished up, and Charles Leclerc, a Ferrari driver, wins the race. Might be a Spanish man, but he drives for an Italian team. Italian Grand Prix, Italian team, you know the mix. It's going to be a party out there in good old Italy. Now, the podium consists of Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, and Lando Norris. And out of F1, we're going to stay with F1 here. We're jumping right into the news topics. Logan Sargent, the beloved American driver who drove for Williams, has been officially replaced by a Austrian man. I actually don't have his name with me because I've completely lost the file, but that's fine. Logan Sargent has been replaced at Williams for the remainder of the season. This has been a big topic in the racing world because Logan Sargent has been rumored to be racing in IndyCar next year, possibly even, I've heard rumors of like an IMSA run, question mark. I've heard things out of the blue, crazy rumors. I've heard rumors of going into a lower feeding NASCAR system, but I think that was just rumors because he's American and they're trying to make stories out of him. But I do want to talk a lot about Logan on this podcast. This is one of the biggest stories in sports. But I also want to drop big condolences to the Gaudreau family, Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Gaudreau. Johnny played for the Columbus Blue Jackets. His brother Matthew played minor league hockey, but they did play together somewhat in the NHL for a little bit of time. I want to say my condolences. They were involved in a very sad accident involving a drunk driver and riding bikes, and it was just a horrible accident. So a big condolences to the Gaudreau family, and that is another big storyline heading in to the hockey season in general. But back to the racing side, and then once again condolences to the Gaudreau family. Back to the racing side of the sports world, Logan Sargent, he's out of Williams. The podium in this, once again, is Leclerc, Piastri, and Lando Norris. And it is such a unique situation right now with Logan Sargent because they have this new guy driving for Williams, but Williams kind of sucks in F1 in general. It's a whole thing. But the big rumor is IndyCar, and I would love to see Logan Sargent in an IndyCar. He's driven F2, he's driven F3, he's driven the lower feeding of Formula 1 cars. His goal was to race in F1, he did that, but in a really messed up way. Now, the reason I want to talk about Logan might be the big part of this podcast. I'm sorry, folks, this might be a Logan Sargent episode, to be honest. And the reason is because there's a lot to talk about. To be honest, I don't talk a lot of bad things about F1 because I think F1 is a great thing, even though it's a bunch of rich people, basically. There's one thing I need to talk about, and that is their hatred towards America, in a way, question mark. The reason I want to bring this up is because there has been a weird shift lately in the Formula 1 racing world, and that is the hatred of America, like, in a weird aspect. A few months ago, about a month ago, a little more than a month ago, there was a post about who's the better driver. Is it Max Verstappen or is it, Kyle Larson? Who's the better American, who's the better driver? And then people are like, oh, he's American, he doesn't understand. And then you got to understand, like, I was with him, I think this was a couple podcasts ago, I actually brought it up, and I'm on the side of of Kyle Larson, even though I think Max is a phenomenal driver in the aspect of Kyle Larson races many different series, but like Max Verstappen said in his response to the question, we're both fantastic drivers, but it's just a normal day of life, and it doesn't really matter, right? So then I understand, but there's this weird hatred of this American hatredism in a way in F1, and I'm going to pinpoint it out. Alex Albon is the other driver at Williams, and when Logan Sargent was at Williams driving F1, the amount of weird hate towards Logan was weird. Now, granted, here is Logan's situation before I get into it. Logan's situation is Williams' F1 team. The Williams F1 team is one of the more, quote-unquote, poorer teams in F1. Poor is a really strong word because all these teams are rich. But they're, quote-unquote, the poorer team. They're one of the worst, they're one of the more worst teams in the series. And with that comes the cars a little worse. But they have screwed this guy over multiple times. And what I mean by that is the weird aspect of things. For starters, you're driving for a lower series team, so you're not really considered to possibly make a top 10. That's understandable. I could see you making a top 10. I can understand possibly you making a top 5, but you're not granted into winning races, technically. And then you have this unique situation where out of nowhere, Logan just starts getting this weird American hate. On 4th of July, they made him run a British flag wrap, and people were saying that was messed up, but I don't know about that. But the reason I bring that up is just to give the point of people are noticing this. And what I mean by that is for one, his teammate, Alex Albon, while being a good driver in himself, isn't considered one of the best drivers in the series because, once again, you're driving for a horrible team. But the amount of times that it was mentioned that Alex Albon outbeat his teammate in Logan Sargent when it came to qualifying is blasphemy. I mean, this dude literally, yes, beat him multiple times, and throughout the almost 3 years of driving for Williams, Logan Sargent didn't beat Alex Albon that much. But you have to understand that Alex Albon was giving a lot more love because there was one season where Alex Albon actually looked really, really good, and then Williams kind of just made him shit. Yeah, I don't know how to tell you that other than that's the truth. But the other aspect of this is when this season is when it really came to light about the weird American things. It was very hint. It was very subtle. They'd make weird comments here and there. I can't think of anything specific, but like the commentary would add things like I remember there's something about the way he drove. I remember something they said the lines of like, well, remember they drive on the other side of the road in America, so he's having a tough time coming around this circuit. It's something along the lines of that. And there was these just subtle like poking fun of him being from America, and it was very interesting. And you think it's bright and dandy until you start really focusing the weird hatred. Because this year something unique happened. Alex Albon wrecked his car pretty damn freaking bad. Williams didn't have enough money to fix the car, at least on time. What they decided to do was they fixed the get a new chassis, I should say. They didn't have enough money to get a new chassis on time. So what they did is they fixed the chassis, re-weld some crap, some freaking four-banger action at your local dirt track, just weld some crazy stuff and all this other stuff. Instead of letting Alex Albon back in his own car, they've give Logan Sargent's chassis to Alex, and Alex's beat-up chassis to Logan. Logan's car was not great after that, because, I don't know, he's driving a freaking wrecked chassis, and people were dogging him. I mean, they were literally, like, making fun of him. I remember there's just these weird jokes that were about him being from America. There was a lot of hatred. It was insane, the things I witnessed throughout the whole entire season this year. And then it kind of came to light that Logan was feeling it, and finally, I think what it was is there was some stuff behind the scenes as well. Now, I'm not saying Logan. Let me retract for a second. I'm not saying Logan Sargent was a great driver and that Alex Albon should be bowing down to him, his old teammate, or the team should be doing this or that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he wasn't given a fair chance, especially when you're driving your teammate's wrecked car. Your teammate wrecked it. Your teammate broke the chassis, but you're the one that has to drive it. You're the one that gets screwed over. It doesn't make any sense. And his car, as well, has had some serious issues. I remember there was a stint, I think it was last year or the year before, there was a weird stint where he would be running in the race, and about 5 or 6 laps in, his car would just stop, or like the steering would snap, so he'd slam into the wall, or I remember just crazy things like that. And Logan, another thing about this man is, you have to understand, to get to F1, you have to run basically in Europe. So, I mean, he is an American dude running against European. It's almost like this stereotypical, borderline weird thing that's going on. But once Logan got out of that situation, which he currently is now officially out, he got out of the situation, which, granted, that is pretty damn solid for him, because I would get the heck out of there too. Once he got out of there and realized, oh, this is not it, the rumors start coming in. Oh, he's going to run IndyCar. Oh, he's going to do this. Oh, he's going to do that. To me, I think he should run IndyCar. But there's rumor, and then the weird things happen again, because he's from America. The British people got to make fun of him, even though they're the ones that eat beans on toast. But we're not going to talk about that. He goes into this weird spiral with the British people. They're like, oh, he's not going to go run IndyCar. He's going to go run NASCAR because he's American, and that's what Americans do. They drink beer and race NASCAR. Like what? We have Shane Van Gisbergen, a friggin' New Zealander, driving. We've had multiple different people run NASCARs, let alone IndyCar. IndyCar's American, and there's freaking Italians and British people and people from Japan, and Kumasato, he's from Japan. There's literal other nationalities within our sport. It's not just Americans. And that's the one thing. We have Sergio Perez, he's Mexican. I mean, like this is weird to me. NASCAR and IndyCar, if anything, are more diverse than F1, because F1 is the same people who, when Andretti was trying to make a team, he was denied because he was saying how he was going to make his team more American. He was going to have the team over here in the States. His whole facility was going to be based in the States. He was planning on having 2 American drivers. He was planning on having crew chiefs who were American. He was going to do this whole American run. Now, granted, not everyone was going to be American that was on the team, but that was going to be the focal point of, like, America is in F1. They denied him, and the reason is stating that he would, the nationality problem, and saying that he wasn't going to let other nationalities be part of his team, which was completely false in some aspects. Even the motor manufacturer was going to be Ford, for God's sakes. And it made weird sense to me, because that is what happens in F1. Ferrari, based in Italy, and Italian owners, Italian this, Italian that. The only thing that isn't Italian is your damn driver who just won you the race, and Charles Leclerc, he is not Italian. That is literally the only dang difference. He's from Monaco. There you go. I don't know what else you want. You look at Red Bull. Red Bull, if anything, follows those statutes, so they shouldn't be a team. Think about it. Their driver is Dutch, Netherlands, Dutch. Everything's Dutch over in Red Bull. Red Bull's from Dutch. It's a Dutch originality. Red Bull is just purely Dutch. But they ain't getting kicked out. It's not a nationality problem. So it doesn't make any sense on what's going on over the F1 side. The amount of weirdness within this F1 world is just weirdly insane, and it makes my head hurt. The NASCAR race is later today. The Xfinity winner was Christopher Bell. He led 108 laps yesterday on Saturday. Also, the biggest hearse in high-limit racing series of the sprint car world was won by Ricky Abreu. He's $102,000 cheaper. That's $102,600 richer. Shout out to Ricky Abreu, winning in the 410 sprint cars with Kubota High Limit Racing Series over at Skagit Speedway. Also, shout out to Tanner Holmes, who is a YouTuber who unfortunately flipped, but shout out to him because that was actually the first time I got to see him race, sorry, Tanner. But in other news, Shout out to Riku. Shout out to Charles Leclerc. NASCAR's on later. This is a racing podcast apparently now because I've just rambled on about NASCAR. But don't worry, we're getting college football involved right now. College football started yesterday, Saturday. Texas Longhorns 52-zip over Colorado State because who gives a crap about Colorado State? Alabama 56-6 against Akron. Crazy dogs. Weapons to society. Georgia beat Clemson, which isn't a shocker, I guess. The biggest shocker was actually, I think, Vanderbilt, who beat Virginia Tech 34-20. Was it 34-27? Yeah, 34-27 in overtime. I think that was the biggest. I think the biggest storyline out of college football in week 1. That's about it. Go Longhorns. Also go Texans. NFL week 1 is next week. That's really it. In the world of football. World of hockey, like I said, the Gaudreau family. My condolences. If you guys want to know about the Gaudreau situation, just look it up. It was a horrific accident. And just prayers out to them. Yeah. Yeah, that's it, I guess. That I just wanted to ramble about Logan Sargent and the weirdness of F1. That was the sole purpose of this podcast this afternoon. Thank you for listening. Oh, wow. I don't know what just happened. We're keeping that in because that was funny. I don't know what just happened. But have a good day. Keep a smile on your face. Peace.